All right, let's talk Brock Purdy. A very bizarre game, a game that was bookended with touchdown drives, and the book itself maybe not as good. Let's talk about it. So it's a 3rd down and 8 here. Let's just start off with this play. Start off the positives, right? Very good first drive. You had one of those over the middle plays that the 49ers are always so good at. Purdy's going to take the snap. He's going to look in that direction and fire in that direction. And this is a little open. There might be a small window for him to fit this through. I mean, this is Kyle Shanahan. This is the 49ers. This is wide open. As you see, he hits Ricky Purdy, who had a really strong game in this one. That's definitely something to get excited about if you're a 49ers fan. Obviously, there was hope he could really show something as a former 31st overall pick. And yeah, he did. And again, some other stuff like this. This is also a Ricky Purdy play. It's a zone coverage concept once again. Purdy runs play action, goes towards the top of the screen, tries to hit Purdy, who's also going in that direction. Purdy takes the snap. He runs this play action. There is going to be some pressure just kind of by design, but there also is a window for him to make this throw. As you see, Brock Purdy does make this throw really well thrown. Stuff like that. Solid, consistent stuff that we know the 49ers can do. Okay, well then what went wrong in this game? Why weren't they able to move the ball? Well, for one thing, like this play, Seattle played defensively well. Like even on this first drive, when they did end up with a touchdown, they did have a stop, but there was a flag that kept things going. This was the stop. It's a 3rd and 9 zone coverage. You see the concept on the screen. Purdy takes a snap. It doesn't really matter how it's supposed to work because it's not really working. I mean, could Purdy try to fire it towards Kittle right now if he wanted to? Yes, but there is a Seattle defender who can crash in and knock it away or deliver a big hit. So it's not super open. Purdy instead hangs on to it, runs out of time, has to throw it into the dirt there, and that ends up being an incompletion. Really, Seattle covered very well in this game. Seattle has a very good secondary, and they showed it, and I think that's why they were, looking like they were going to win for a good chunk of this game. Also, this is definitely worth noting. While there were some highlight Christian McCaffrey runs in this game, you see here that one, it's actually not McCaffrey, it's Brian Robinson Jr. who got that pass, or got that pitch, but either way, neither one got a ton going consistently. McCaffrey only had 3.1 yards per carry. Robinson only 3.7 yards per carry. So not a lot of run game either. Makes things difficult. However, I also want to go over here because ultimately, while they weren't being able to do too much, they still were moving the ball a bit. Again, couple of missed field goals makes the whole situation look a little worse, right? They ended up with 3 scoring drives. Could have had 5 scoring drives and 23 total points. That feels a lot better, right? But part of it was Purdy just kept making mistakes as well. This one didn't hurt. A couple of them didn't hurt him, but are still worth talking about. This is the 3rd and goal. It's man coverage. Purdy takes the snap. Nothing gets open. Again, well covered by Seattle. He's going to throw this one off his back foot right here. This is not an ideal situation to be throwing the football, but he's going to try this. I'm not sure if he's trying to throw it throw it to somebody or trying to throw it away. But watch as this one hangs up, and that was a dangerous pass, and there was really no chance of it working out. It was either going to be intercepted or incomplete. It landed in the field of play, so it was possible to be an interception. So, yeah, that one wasn't ideal. Of course, more notably, the ones that actually he did get burned on. Although, sometimes these are good defensive plays as well. Both can be true. This is a zone coverage concept. You have one of those over-the-middle routes once again to look towards. Okay, yeah, this is what the 49ers like. Purdy takes the snap. It's Juwan Jennings running the route, and it's honestly pretty open. Now, Purdy was a bit under pressure, did not get the exact throwing motion the way he wanted to, and because of that, again, a good throw, and this is the completion. Instead, it's underthrown, and a very good defensive play to pull off the interception. Both were true. Again, both can be true. It can be a bad play and also a good defensive play, and to me, that's what happened on the first interception. Also, this one, it's, again, very similar, a more over-the-middle route against zone coverage. This is what we see a lot of when these two teams play each other. Purdy is going to take the snap. Again, Seattle is going to cover this very well. Purdy fires this down the field, and this is just a pure jump ball. This is just, hey, I think my receiver can win this 50-50 ball. It's Ricky Purdy once again, who I have to say, a player I like, is not really a contested catch guy. That's not really what he's known for. And as you see, it's Josh Joby with an unreal interception, quite frankly. I have a hard time crushing Purdy for it just because that was such a good defensive play. But also, it's probably not one he should have made, right? He took a chance there and ultimately got burned on it. Also, this was another play that I just didn't like. This is a second down and 9 situation. We're relatively late into the third quarter at this point. Again, just second down. So you have time to, if you have to throw the ball away or whatever, you can. If you can throw a check down, all that is good. Not really a lot is open right now. He's going to try and figure something else out, which I don't hate. He is a very mobile player. He can utilize that. But as you see, when Purdy starts to scramble, he's falling and then throws it while falling down. That's a grounding penalty. And what really stings about that is, A, you should just take the sack, right? Because the grounding penalty pushes you further back. If you're going to go down, he wasn't going to get the ball past the line of scrimmage at that point. I get trying it, but it was a mistake. What really stings about it was there was a defensive penalty that would have been a first down, but because there's the grounding penalty, both of those offset and they don't get a first down here. They ended up on that series, they got 7 yards on the next play and then threw an incomplete pass and then had a field goal get blocked. They had a chance for points, and that mistake didn't allow them to get those points. So, okay, now let's go all the way over here. This is the end of the game. Under 3 minutes left in the fourth. The Seahawks just kicked the field goal to take the lead, and the 49ers would find a way. Now, let's talk about how they found a way. First, it's Ricky Purcell. Like I said, he's been their guy in this game. Purdy's going to take the snap. This is a tough throw. Hash marks on the bottom of the screen. He's going to throw this all the way towards the top of the screen. There doesn't appear to be a ton of separation right here. Again, this is the value of Brock Purdy's gunslinger mentality, of him trusting his receivers, is that he has pretty good receivers and they can make some plays sometimes. Although I will say, not the best defense by Tariq Woolen here. Look, as Woolen, he just looks like he just misjudged it a little bit. Went up a little bit too early. But hey, give credit to Ricky Purcell for the focus, and it was a beautiful throw. And they're able to get a completion right there, and a huge completion to give them a chance. I think that's a good play. I know it was a little weird by Woolen. I think that's a good throw from Purdy. And now let's go over here to set the stage. This is a, third down and 3, you're down 3 points, and you are inside the 5-yard line. Yes, the kicking has been an issue, and you don't want to have to settle for a field goal. You want the end zone, but you also don't want to just pretend as though it's, you have zero chance of that happening, right? To be honest, I think in an incomplete pass, they probably go for it in this situation, but nonetheless, you still have a fourth down to either go for it or kick a field goal, whatever the coach decides, if you don't convert here. Purdy takes the snap, nowhere to go with the football, but plenty of areas to rush around, containment having given up. Finally, the play is dead, and he sees just the receiver and says, let's throw this up. I mean, again, this is his backup tight end who is in the game due to the injury to George Kittle. And as you see, Jake Tonjes ends up making this play. It's an incredible play. Like, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that's a smart throw from Brock Purdy. I know that's not the fun thing to say. The fun thing to say is, hey, he figured it out and won the game. I just feel like if Brock Purdy does this for 17 games, it's not going to be sustainable. The good news is I don't expect Brock Purdy to do this for 17 games. We've seen him play a lot better. He still does the game management stuff very well. Usually when he goes out on his own, he adds more value than he hurts. I think in this game, this was not his best performance. And luckily for him, the defense played really well, but also that's a part of it, right? Your defense is playing well. You don't have to force every single ball. Fortunately, it's not too tough of a schedule for them to kind of get their sea legs back with the injuries for the receiving core they have. They play the Saints, the Cardinals, the Jaguars. Those are 3 winnable games, right? I'm not going to say they're guaranteed to win all 3, but 3 winnable games. So ultimately, still, Purdy did a lot of good stuff in the final drive to get them to win, and the first drive to get them to win. You're just going to need more from Purdy if they're going to really go on a run this season. But that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.